Welcome to the Abundant Life Center's service for Sunday, February 22nd. Before we start the service today, I'd like to acknowledge the loss in body of our dear friend Paul Enberg. Paul passed away on February 16th, and yeah, we're really going to miss him. We're gonna miss his wisdom and his joy and his wonderful spirit. So
And his
ALC won't,
harmonica. I miss his harmonica.
yeah, ALC won't be the same without him. But we know he's sending us love and we know he's joining us in spirit. And if he's not, we know he's dancing in the cemetery with all of his friends
Yeah. Yeah.
that he was looking forward to rejoining. So with that, I'm going to light the God candle, which is the symbol of the one power in the universe known by many names. The name you choose to use here is welcome. You can't see it from me. So here's the God candle. So let's get ourselves centered and prepared for this meeting, this sense of community. So if you'd like, close your eyes and imagine you see a sturdy chest sitting in front of you. Reach out and lift the latch and slowly open the lid. Inside, you see that the chest is completely empty. Now, picture all of your worries, desires, and frustrations, everything that weighs on your mind or absorbs your attention. One by one, place these things gently into the chest. Take a moment to be sure you've left nothing behind. When you're ready, close the lid and turn away, leaving the chest and all of its contents behind you. In front of you stretches a breathtaking view, the vast sea from the edge of a cliff. Feel the fresh air, hear the sounds of the waves, and take in the peace of the open horizon. You may open your eyes, being calm and present. So as it's the second meeting of the month, we will share our values. Our values. We show up and act with gentle honesty and authenticity, vulnerability, caring, and trust. Open and welcoming hearts, attentive listening to and respect for one another, an intention to connect with the divine, a dedication to community, and a commitment to grow through spiritual practice and service. And now we'll have our opening song, Taming the Tongue. So Eric is going to start that. Well, today, our speaker or our facilitator is Carol Becker. And based on the theme of that song, her topic is the power of your words. So we're going to do a meditation now, and then Carol will lead us in our discussion.
Those were some beautiful words.
They were.
So, talking about words, there's so many ways you can go into that subject, and I did down many rabbit holes and got lost a few times. The first time that I talked about words here, when I first joined, it was an expression of how we use words to affect our life, and how the structure of the sentence and the words you use to affect your life is important. For instance, I told you that you couldn't not think of a pink elephant. You can't not think of something. You have to think of it in order to even think about not thinking about it. And I said, so if you didn't want the child who was on a tricycle to ride near the car and scratch it, we typically would say, don't ride your tricycle next to the car because you'll scratch it. The word don't didn't get into the subconscious mind, because it doesn't know how to deal with don'ts. So the thing that the child's subconscious mind said was, ride your tricycle toward the car. And we do that to ourselves. We say, I really don't like bad drivers. But your subconscious mind doesn't hear the don't. It just says, I like bad drivers. So it gives you lots of bad drivers to deal with. And that's what I dealt with in the first one, if you remember, about how we use words. And the other thing that I talked about at that time was that words can actually change your gene expression. And that was found out by some research done, that can you really change your gene expression with the words you use? Well, I think we've found that that's true, because some words you can say to yourself can make you feel better, and some words you say to yourself can make you feel horrible. So it's really important how you frame the words when you talk to yourself. So self-talk is important. I went down that rabbit hole again. And then I thought, but what are words really? They're just vibrations of air. You got your lungs and you're sending that air up through your speaking system, and your mouth is forming the words. And yeah, so what use is that to know? Like, if a tree falls in the forest and anyone hear it, does it make a sound? Well, it makes a sound, but it's only a sound if there's an entity there that turns those vibrations into sound in their mind. So that's one way to think about sound and words. Words and sounds. When you think of sounds affecting you and your life, because I like to think of all this energy stuff we've been talking about, that everything is energy. And so what? I like to bring that into my day. How can I use that energy? And so I'm once again thinking of how we can use the energy of words. I read a thing about the meaning we attach to words and how it affects us. And there was a sentence in Malay, and I read the sentence, and of course I didn't mean anything to me, so I didn't care. I kind of wondered what it said. And then the translation said, you're stupid and you don't deserve to live. Okay, so there were words that were meanings that were attached to those words that were spoken in a different language. And the meaning we attach to words is what really affects us. And the meaning we attach to words comes from our intentions. And the intention is the energy that shapes our world. And so we talked about the reticular activating system, the part of our brain that tells us what to pay attention to. And we tell it what to pay attention to. Now, Wayne Dyer said in one of his speeches that if you're thinking of moving into a new neighborhood, and you're wondering if it's going to be nice people or bad people there, if you're going to feel comfortable or uncomfortable, if you're going to be liked or not liked, whichever you choose to think is what you'll find. because your reticular activating system was said, this is going to be a horrible neighborhood and I'm not going to like anybody and they're not going to like me. And so, yeah, there we go. But if you say, I'm moving into a new neighborhood and it's going to be wonderful and they're going to be nice people and we're going to like each other and are going to be helpful to each other, then that's what we'll find. And then there's some magic to that too that I don't quite understand. By creating that intention, would I only find the neighborhood that I want? Would the universe only give me the thing that my intention set up? I don't know. I think sometimes it does. I got a letter that's a notice that I was going to receive a mail that I had to sign for. And I thought, okay, mailing, sign for important stuff. Oh God, what's happening? My first thing went to, this is going to be a problem. And then I said, no, Carol, we don't think that way anymore. So what we do now is change how we think. And so I took myself back in time to the first time in my mind, to the first time I felt the fear of having to sign for mail. And instead, I changed that fear to a feeling of love. And it didn't have to be love for anything in particular, it was just love. So I filled my body, my heart, me, with a feeling of love, which what that means to me. And when the sign came, it was just a notice that my uncle in Texas had passed away, and I'm not sure why they thought they had to send me a thing to sign to receive the information, but they did, and it was okay. So you really can, or at least I can, and I think all of us can, affect the way our life moves around us. One time I was working in a place and we were really upset with the management and the stuff they did. And we would complain to each other and, enjoy our comradeship in misery. Anyway, and so one day I was talking with one of the people and I made one of those comments and he was really upset and he was really angry and he moved away. And I thought, God, what did I say? It's nothing different than we usually say. But thing was going on in his mind and he heard those words differently. They meant something different to him than it had meant before. So I apologized and I told him that I didn't realize that he was going through something and that we usually used to laugh about our miseries, but he wasn't laughing that day. Another way that I use words, and hey, we speak to ourselves in lots of different ways. We speak to ourselves in images. We speak to ourselves in feelings. And I think that we can also speak to others with our feelings. I know that I was sitting next to somebody when I was out of work and we were in the library and we were using library computers. And it was when I think one of the military programs went down and there were a lot of unemployed engineers. Anyway, I got this sense this man next to me was really upset and really lost and really feeling bad. Now, how did I get that feeling? Well, feelings are energy, and there's that thing again. It just drives me nuts. Anyway, so I said to him, what's going on? I think you're having a problem. Can I help you? And he said, no, he said, I've just been out of work for so long and I just don't feel like I'm ever going to have a job again. And why did anybody ever hire me in the first place? Now, those are some great self-talk words for getting yourself up to do things. And so I said to him, have you never done anything well? Ever, ever, ever? He said, well, yeah. I said, have anybody ever hired you to do the thing that you love doing? And and had a good experience. And he said, well, yeah. I said, so just for fun, take yourself back to one of those times when that exact feeling that you love having, doing the work you do, being with the people that you enjoy being around, whatever that experience was, that wherever in the world that was, take yourself in your mind back to that and stand there and feel those feelings again. See those people smiling at you. See those friends that you work with, loving to have you around. Hear your boss tell you what a marvelous job you're doing. Look at your paycheck and see you've got the raise you were working for. And as I talked to him, his posture changed. His facial expressions changed because he was talking to himself in a different way. And we can do that for ourselves. I've done it for myself. There have been times when I was feeling like, okay, I've never done this before, and I don't feel like I'm really able to, but I've got to project some confidence here. And so I took myself back to one of those times just like that. And my posture changed. My head went up, my shoulders went back, and I was standing up straight, and I was looking up forward. And then I started to speak, and I spoke with confidence and clarity. So that's one way you talk to yourself. You can talk to yourself by creating an image of what you want. And that's another way to affect your future and your life. When I was out of work after the Twin Towers went down, and they weren't hiring aircraft engineers or military engineers, everything was like down, and I was down. And I had friends, though. I had friends that stood by me. I had a restaurant that I used to go to after work, and the restaurant owner asked me if I could help him put together a plan to go to the planning commission. So these were people that I knew and that liked me and that I liked, and that made me think about my new job. What kind of job did I want? And so I imagined not what I was going to be doing, but how I was going to be feeling. And I used those words to describe my feelings because I attached meanings to my words about feelings. And the words actually engender the feelings in me when I use them with intention. And so I wanted a job where the things that I'm really good at were what they needed, and that I would be respected and admired for being the person who could do that work for them, and that I would love the work itself. And I got a job just like that. I got a job in San Diego. I was never going to go to San Diego because it has earthquakes. I was out of my range of places I was going to go look for work at. But gee, I guess I told the universe, I said, okay, you want me to go to San Diego? I guess I'll go to San Diego. And that was exactly the kind of work I loved doing, and the people really appreciated the work I did. And I was rewarded financially really, really well. So speaking to yourself in words, speaking to yourself in feelings, speaking to yourself in images can definitely affect your life. And I like to think it can affect others as well. And I'm not sure how that works, but it's energy again. So sorry, Eric, I don't understand it, but I believe it. Okay. Because when I'm thinking of someone that's having a problem, I just think of them as working through the problem successfully and getting the outcome they want. And I envision that in my mind and in all of my feelings. And I know that sometimes it works. I don't know that it always works, and I don't always know whether it worked. So that's my speech about words today, which went all over the place.
Yeah, to your point, yeah, everything is energy, and your feeling are energy. And this dovetails into our last discussion about lack and abundance or fullness. If you resonate in a certain vibration that is of fullness, which you did, you will attract automatically what you resonate with. And so this is part of the manifestation process, but you got to feel it. And I think you did just that, feel it.
Yeah, so I could feel in my new job. I didn't see people, but I felt feelings. I felt appreciated. I felt respected, and all of those things. And I just felt what that would feel like if that was happening to me.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's applicable to anything. I mean, it doesn't matter. A cup of coffee, $10 that you receive, I don't know. It doesn't matter. You can apply it really to everything. I was thinking you're going to tell us that your uncle from Texas left you $1 million, but
Well, the one thing I speak to myself a lot with love. Love has a special meaning to me. And so if my knee is hurting, I send it love. I mean, I do, and sometimes the hurt just goes away. And I've used that several times, and it's a genuine love. It's a love like creative love, like I don't know how to word it. Words sometimes I can't find the right word for how I'm feeling, and I'm sure that most of us have had that from time to time. So I'm thinking that because of the kind of folks we are, metaphysically oriented, that many of you have had an effect on your life with the way you have envisioned your life and the words you've used. And I'd love to hear about them. Hey, Linda.
Yeah, what first comes to my mind is a time years ago when I had spent time with a group for 6 months of intensive study and growth. And we were, we'd disbanded that. And then there was an opportunity where I might see them, but it was in Spain. And it all felt way too expensive, the costs of getting there, the seminar, staying there, and everything. However, and this, it's kind of like you say, sometimes it's words, sometimes it's images or whatever. I just created, a plan, a vision of how I could get that money in my business, if I did so many sessions, so many seminars, blah, 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 blah. And it didn't come out that way, but it did happen. My sister gave me a business class ticket. Tuition was waived when I volunteered to assist at the program. And, here I was there. And then I thought, this is going to be miserable if I'm here and Ananda's not here. So then I got Ananda there too. That's where the money I earned helped come in. So
Oh, that's great.
yeah. So that's what comes to mind for me. Real concrete experience.
I have one which had to do with my work too. The company where we lived in Ithaca was moving to Texas, and we decided not to go to Texas. And they were worried about me because I wrote a bunch of software to support the engineers to do the work, and they they wanted to buy me out on the software to support it. However, and I gave them a number which was pretty high. I want to make sure that I get something out of it. And they felt like, it's kind of too high. But they kept me on as a temp. And they kept me on until, you always never understand why this happens this way. But at the end, when they let me go, it was exactly this amount that I had made during this temp work. With the number of hours and as a price per hour. It was exactly this number. When I went through it, I was like, wow, somebody must have been behind that.
Because sometimes when I want something and I'm not sure how to get it, I just imagine having the feeling of having it.
There is a good little video on YouTube, and I can put it in the links. It's essentially an 11-second manifestation, and it's exactly how you manifest. And the guy, it's what, 7 minutes or 8 minutes. It explains how he goes and what he do. But the whole thing happens in 11 seconds. That's pretty cool, you know. It's a thing to try. But it talks exactly about what you were talking about. I'll put it in the link.
There's somebody who I've listened to on Instagram. His name is Michael Hunter, and he has he pops in little videos of vignettes of ways to improve your life. He calls it up spiral your life. And one of his little talks, and he goes into the neurology of how words affect your life. And he does a talk on how if you're angry a lot, how your anger promotes more anger and words. And he's so interesting. If anybody's on Instagram, he would be an interesting person to follow and to look at some of his suggestions for how your brain works and how you think, which are your words, can really affect how you're feeling and what your life manifests. So he's interesting. Michael Hunter, upspiral.life. It's
Yeah,
interesting.
that's one of those things where what you focus on, it's like the universe says, oh, that's what she wants. Okay, let's give her more of that.
Yeah. Yeah. If you're angry, you're frustrated, you're always, if something ticks you off, or you get into spirals and you get stuck in those, eddies in the stream of life, the little, the little
Well,
whirlpools.
when I'm stuck in one of those whirlpools, I guess I've trained myself enough to notice it and notice that I don't feel I don't feel good and I don't want to feel that way. So you can't erase something like that without filling something else in. And so what I do is say, oh crap. What do I mean, oh crap? Oh, I wonder what kind of gift this would bring. And it might be a little sarcastic, but I'm using different words and different feelings.
Yeah. Ananda.
So let me preface what I'm going to say with this works. It does work. And I just wonder who we think the I or you who's telling our brain what to do, this, whatever you called that particular brain structure, Carol, is, if not a part of our brain. There's a lot of schizophrenic, fundamental assumption that there's an us which is not our body. And I think that's dangerous. It's easy to have. It's because it's the generally held opinion of society that that's true. But I think that it's a major way in which we trick ourselves. So,
And trick ourselves to do what?
whatever, to transgress, to grow. I mean, it's an all-purpose Swiss Army knife of get out of jail free.
So it's valuable in some ways and not valuable in other ways.
Yeah, yeah, and that's yeah. It's
And I don't know, and I can't answer you either about that eye.
No, but you make the assumption that it's the brain that does that.
well, though Carol specifically talked about about directing. What was that brain structure?
Reticular activating system.
Yeah, okay. The reticular activating system. She is telling us how to direct it.
It's part of the survival system.
To us, if
Right.
we're not part in our brain, it's something that there's an assumption that there's something outside of our perceptual system.
So the reticular activating
There is-
system is accessing some kind of energy outside of us.
Yeah. But there's so much outside of us, Ananda. I mean, for instance, your Wi-Fi, you don't see it, but it carries a lot of information. And if you tune into a channel, you get a lot of information.
I don't control my Wi-Fi.
Well, what I'm saying, it's vibration. Your vibration, the Wi-Fi is vibration, and it carries information. A dog hears a whistle that you can't hear, and yet this is still information. So there's a lot of stuff that you're not aware in your, how do you say, limited perceptions that you have through your senses.
Well, that's exactly what he was.
you know?
Exactly what he was saying. We don't know what it is, but it's there.
It's exactly.
And that's what Ananda just said too.
Oh, that's
I
how
think-
you understood?
No. I mean, I certainly agree that there is manifest stuff happening around us. What I'm saying is that we just carry this gigantic cultural assumption that we have this soul or spiritual being and essence that predates our body, will postdate our body, and it's like it's a way of not facing our fundamental responsibility for what we're doing. I think that's my opinion.
Well, that is an interesting perspective. I'm going to have to muse on that for a while. Thank you. I think the way we think of ourselves is a metaphor. We may not really exist. I don't know.
I like that.
You're touching a very, very critical point that even physicists can't answer that. They're not sure that we exist. And I have to say, from my spiritual experience, I agree. I think we are purely a projection of consciousness. That's all we are. A projection of consciousness. And when you think from the perspective of a hologram, and you suddenly understand that in a hologram, anyway, the information is in every part of that hologram if you start dividing it. And as a matter of fact, the information of the universe is in each one of your cells. Okay, all your experiences are also in your cells. It's truly only an information system in many ways. I mean, very complex one by all means.
Yeah, and Bessel van der Kolk wrote a book called "Your Body Keeps the Score."
Yep, it does.
Your body keeps the score.
Keeps the score.
Yeah.
Who wrote that, Carol?
Bessel, Bessel, van der Kolk, Vandekolk, I think.
But this can throw you off. I mean, if you go into these things, you have to approach that from a gentle perspective. But that's how I feel. I understand how it's working.
And so, speaking of words and the song, the peace song, and in our words, we say that we all believe in a spirit which has many different names, and any name you choose is accepted here. And I have to return. I generally, for my own feeling, because I've had some really bad experiences with the God thing, so I convert the word God to loving spirit,
which is totally
and it just happens, loving spirit, and
Yeah.
then I get the message that the loving spirit is sending me.
Yeah, I was going through a little bit of spiritual whiplash between the Holy Spirit song and then
But
the
think
Buddha and
think of the yeah think
Eric,
think of your of the how do you say Holy Spirit as your higher self, and
thank
you're
you.
there,
Okay. Yeah, okay. You know this triggers me. Triggered. Okay.
Can't change this
So
anyway.
I just spiritual whiplash. Okay. So anyway, I wasn't even gonna say anything, Carol.
Well, I thought I would for those of us who have that issue. And I know that I know in my heart, I know in whatever part of me is me that I could get rid of that easily.
Yeah. Okay, good. Maybe we need to have the support group for the spiritual whiplash people.
Bring your seatbelt.
Actually,
Your seatbelt, yeah.
does everybody here know what EFT is, emotional freedom
Who?
technique?
Yeah.
Tapping. I'm wondering if tapping wouldn't work.
Oh,
Yeah,
there you
sure.
go. Yeah, that
Sure.
would be worth
Because
trying.
you don't have to know the source.
Yeah. Oh, I know the
The
source.
you that yeah, but some, it's been used for trauma. Tapping has been used for trauma.
Oh, that would be an interesting experiment. That might be something worth trying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I think Eric did show us what tapping was in the last time we met together here, and
I did briefly. And I put a link to Brad Yates that you can find.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
and so there are these, and I don't know about the points if that's just part of dissociation, but there is points that they talk about tapping your eyebrow and under your eye and under your nose and in your chin and under your arms. And I can't reach under my arms because my boobs are in the way. But there is another spleen location in another place, so I use that. And the way I was taught it is you say, if you find an issue that you have, like I would say I have an issue with networking. And then you set up the thing. I hate networking. 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 And then you say,
Even though.
even though I hate networking, I totally and completely accept myself. I hate networking. And even though I hate networking, I totally and completely accept myself. I hate networking. Even though I hate networking, I can totally and completely accept myself. And so repetition is one thing, intention is another thing, dissociation is another thing. And your subconscious mind gets involved with, I don't know how that works, finding the source and disarming it.
So I'm just thinking of my setup, even though I hate Christian songs. I totally and completely accept myself. Mm,
And I wonder if you really need to tap, if you could just do that in like a meditation.
I don't know.
Probably the tapping hypnotizes the response column. If one says an affirmation, one often gets a subconscious thing say, well, accept that, and there's exercises you can do to unearth those things, but the tapping probably oh gosh, I can't think of the words. Sorry.
We have
Well,
words,
it's
yeah.
short circuits. It's short circuits. Yeah.
Hypnotizes the response column.
And you
Yeah,
usually,
so how do you say, it distracts your subconscious mind.
Yeah, yeah.
And Kay, you were going to say?
well, you're tapping on your meridian points is
Oh.
where
And-
you're
yeah,
where you're
China.
hitting. So it's definitely going through your energy circuits in your body. But
Yeah.
anyway, so
I noticed that McTaggart, the lady that does the Power of Eight, has a master class for intention, the power of intention, coming up.
Yeah.
And I think I might take a look into that and see what she's doing. Because those are words again, and power and energy.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. I played a little game with ChatGPT about that too. I had an intention that I wrote, and then I passed it on ChatGPT, and ChatGPT took it apart because of the words that I was using, and mostly because it essentially put the nervous system in a state of defense, not openness. So ChatGPT ultimately ended up with a preamble that puts a nervous system at ease, and then formulated the intention in a way that was much more acceptable to the nervous system. Because the reality is you manifest from the nervous system point of view. Okay, your nervous system is expressing the resonance into the field. And so if your nervous system is blocking, it's not going to happen, right? So you need to work with your nervous system to be able to manifest that. So this is why we talk about feelings. If you feel good about it and it feels right to your body and you can sense it, right? You feel it. Well, this is where it happens.
Oh, I've got another way we talk to ourselves, and the feeling. Have you ever walked into a room and felt like it was a place you didn't want to be?
Yep.
And what was it? Were people in there exuding their bad energy that got into the molecules of the wall that are also energy?
Yeah. Everybody on defense. I mean, I remember entering some rooms at work where everybody was on defense. It was like, it's terrible.
And then I know that in the Native American culture, they use saging to neutralize. And Arlene, I've used saging in my house when I thought bad things were happening.
I think that for me, sometimes I'm not consciously aware. Like today, when I fell down and I had 3 men coming into the house and they're out there messing with the key box, and is it taking 3 of them? I don't need 3. I just need even 1. But they came in and all 3 of them had a particular job to do to help me feel safe and better. And you know what? My kitty Panther got in on that. She was up in the window watching them, wondering who they are and what's going on. And she went to the one quiet guy, the one that had his face just soft and gentle. She went to him and she got petted. And I felt that petting, I felt it. And it was this thing that they did, and it was a relationship, and it was a magical thing that happened. And it was like, oh, that's mine. And it was like, oh.
That's wonderful. That is so much good energy happening there from lots of different sources.
And the kitty was in on it, and sometimes kitties do that and sometimes they don't. But my kitty's really good at it. And sometimes dogs bark and sometimes they get mad when there's strange energy and they don't know and they're not familiar and they bark. And we we get that energy, and
Yeah.
so I think how we get it and what we do with it, it plays a big part in it. And if I remember just to breathe and feel it, it's like, okay, sometimes I don't when I'm sitting there on the floor thinking, how the hell am I going to get up and oh, I got to call those guys. And then my button didn't work because the battery was dead and all this stuff. So I just did my little breath work and I'm thinking, and so I pushed the buttons until finally it said beep, 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 and and everything worked. And the kitty even got in on it, and I don't know where she got it. She got it too from somewhere, but it all just worked, and I was happy. I am happy about how we are together. I love us. I really love us and all you all and your smiling faces and your love and your hearts and who you are. And you know what else the word is? Appreciate. I appreciate you all and the love in your hearts and how you do it and what you do and how you give back and how part of it makes it all work. It makes it all work and it's magic. It is magic. Thank you.
Thank you. That was a great sharing. Thank you. And I know that words you have a dog and it's learned to sit. And we use the word sit, but that same dog in another culture would hear a different kind of word that meant sit. And so I think the intention of our words has a lot of energy.
That's proof of that. Cindy, what's the word down in California?
The word of what?
Well, we're talking about words. What's the word?
Words and feelings.
What's the word? Well, I will comment on your reaction to Christians, Christian words. And I personally don't I don't expect to not be triggered. I think the triggering of the abusive nature of religious Christianity should bother me. So that's my little take on that particular subject. Is I'm so convinced that it's an unhealthy religious system using words like God, Holy Spirit, Jesus, hell and heaven, all this reward. And so see, I'm triggered. You can feel it. And I don't want to be healed from that. I think it's what do I want to say? In my mind right now, maybe it's just a phase or a season I'm in, but it just really bothers me. It really bothers me that people are raised in that, children are raised in it. You behave or you're going to burn in hell for eternity, that kind of stuff. So anyway, it's a huge, big, hard thing that I don't want to tap it away. I think it's a healthy reaction for me right now. So that's my little comment on that. And
this trauma response.
You know what?
Well, I think, Cindy, if that's what's serving you now, then that's what's serving you now, and we respect that. I respect that.
Yes, and thank you.
Well, I feel a little bit like I have this analogy I use sometimes, like I'm Jonah in the boat, and my attitudes and thoughts are causing the ocean and throw me overboard because I don't want to affect everybody else on this boat. Sometimes I think that's a great analogy, but not. You ask me my opinion, I'll tell you. And I think it's come up before. I hesitate to say because I have a really hard time with positive manifesting. And I don't, throw me overboard. Because I feel like my life, as an Enneagram 6, the basic Enneagram 6s are the most worried, fearful when they're in their unhealthy aspects of the whole 9 types. And so I'm aware, without the Enneagram telling me that, but that I have, my mind just carries imaginations, and I have a very picture oriented scenes of, like, I don't know, people dying and yeah, like I told John yesterday, I'm going to walk down the road. It's real windy here. And I said, if I don't come back, I might be under a tree. So come look for me. You know what? I do that. I talk like that, and I even feel like that, but that doesn't happen to me. And then things that happen to me all through my life, I never thought about it happening. One time, my dad, out of the blue, sends my husband and I a check for $20,000. Comes in the mail. Of course, I'm thrilled, but I just feel like there's something about, maybe it's just my life, or maybe I have healthier thoughts than I'm aware of. But I feel like my life has been really pretty great. And yet I still, like, think about things like a tree falling on me, and it doesn't happen. I mean, God forbid it, maybe tomorrow. But anyway, I don't know. I'd
Well,
like to feel
one
more.
of the things that I think might be happening is there's a part of you that's saying, "Tain't so."
Tain't so? It
Tain't
is,
so.
it isn't so.
Yeah, when you're thinking
Tain't
about
so.
the tree falling on you, there's a part of you that's saying, "Tain't so."
Not
Yeah,
mine.
a part of me, I laugh at myself, like, well, don't think like that. And
But has anybody of you ever looked up the word abracadabra?
Who?
Abracadabra.
Abracadabra, yeah.
Abracadabra.
Well, okay. Has any one of you looked at that? No? Okay, I'll give you a short explanation. In Aramaic, and from Aramaic and Hebrew root, from Aramaic, it's I will create as I speak. And in Hebrew, it was created as I spoke. So traditionally, we already understand that whatever we say is created. It is created. So you create all the time.
So
Positive or
abracadabra
negative.
should become a normal word in our vocabulary. Abracadabra.
I think that's a good thing for our in crowd.
Well, abracadabra. Well, you guys, we've been at this for an hour.
I want to share one quick thing. I totally honor everybody's reactions to whatever words, and I have some reactions to, the praise and, some of the words that bring up religions that I don't relate to. However, the word of Holy Spirit or, Jesus, grace, those words, I grew up in a Christian tradition. I grew up Methodist, but those have very good connotations. And I did not grow up fearing hell. And I remember reading Nicene Creed or one of those things from the Catholic Church. And it was talking about I was sinful or bad. And I just go, no, and nobody else, that was the only time they said that in that stupid creed. They never talked about that other than that. So not all traditional religions leave people with the experiences that some have had. So I just want to share that.
Yeah, and just really quickly on that topic. I mean, of course the song bugged me, but the meditation with the Buddha, I was like, oh, this is so peaceful. This is so wonderful. This is a whole shift in energy. And I'm like, why? Why does this one religion manifestation just tick me off? And then,
Evangelism, that's the fundamental difference between the Eastern religions and the Abrahamic ones.
yeah, so,
It-
but then the Buddha and the
there's
meditation was,
there is an implicit hostility and uh
an
desire
authoritarian,
for command in
yeah,
Abrahamic religions that is certainly not in Buddhism.
yeah.
Now, there are some nutter Buddhists running around these days. There's no, all Buddhists are not peaceful, but
We got alligators that are really bad. I saw one on the TV and, opening its mouth and it goes, oh, and they got all these big bad teeth and they do that. And we have that feeling about them. And if I was around an alligator, I'd be thinking first, how am I going to protect myself? What can I do? Can I knock him in the head? No, he'll bite me. He's bigger and stronger than I am. What do I have to do to take care of myself here? So we do that. I get goosebumps thinking about that alligator. And that alligator is part of the magic that makes it all work. Oh, I want to tell him, thank you for growling and thank you for showing me your teeth and you're pretty damn remarkable and I don't want you in my living room,
I
So,
think
Carol,
a lot of what these words have are correlated to our experiences, where we experienced them.
Yeah.
That's what brings the energy or the meaning carried forth for us.
Right. And I think we could go on with this for another hour, but our time is up. And so
I just want to make one more comment.
so somebody wants to make one more comment.
Yeah, it's okay. So if you have a word and it triggers you, I mean, if you have a word and you speak out this word, but your nervous system doesn't believe it, other people will see it right away. Okay, they will see through you because your nervous system doesn't believe it. So you can have people lying, having speech of trying to deceive you. Just pay attention to your body. You'll know, because there's a discrepancy between what the person says and what their body says.
so Carol, in closing.
Yeah. This was an opportunity for each of us to explore our own words and feelings and how they affect us. And I appreciate everyone's comments and input. And as Arlene said, love you all. Thank you.
And with that, we have one more song.
Uh-oh.
No, nothing like this.
Yeah, I liked that one. All right. So, at this point, we'll do our closing circle where we'll greet each other with namaste and thank you for your presence here today. Namaste. 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 And just a reminder that the Abundant Life Center is supported by God's love and your gifts. And should you wish to make a financial offering to the church, Cheryl will send out the information as to how you can do that in an email.